What is the most attractive social skill? That is a question that I saw on this Reddit post, so I'm going to try to break it down so that you can do the things that make you the most socially attractive that you can be. My name is Isaiah, and I have recently gone through a really great transformation socially in my life that has led me to be more confident, connected, and likable than I ever was before, and now I make videos to help you do the same. And for this question, I feel like there isn't really one set thing, but maybe 5 things that I would probably pinpoint. The first one I'm going to talk about actually lines up a lot with what the person in the Reddit thread said, and that is being comfortable with pauses. But I actually want to break it down a bit more. I think people who are really socially confident and really socially attractive are just comfortable taking up space. And they really have a level of slow confidence, being more deliberate in their actions, not feeling like if they don't have an answer immediately that the person is going to get bored of them. They have that slow, deliberate pace, and it's something that Charlie Hupert actually calls the predator versus the prey mentality. Sounds really weird, but think about it this way, right? If you think of a large predator, like a lion, a bear, a tiger, those kind of things, how they move tends to be this very slow, stalking, confident movement. They know what they're trying to do. It's very deliberate. But when you think of a prey animal, like something small, like a rabbit, maybe cats, whatever it might be, right? Small animals, hamsters, they're very jittery, they're very skittish, they're always on the lookout because, of course, they can be eaten in any second. Now, that's a really weird and vague example, but let me bring it down to actual real life. Somebody might call your name, and there's a difference between you going, "Oh, hey, what's up?" and, "Ooh, you talking to me?" And I'm sure you've had people like that in your life. You've probably seen people like that. The people who are more slow and confident are the ones who seem more mysterious, more cool, that you want to be around. In essence, they're more socially attractive. The ones who are more skittish tend to not seem as confident and in turn don't have that level of social attractiveness. And when I say social attractiveness, by the way, I'm talking both on a romantic level and just a level of friendship, just being more socially magnetic, not necessarily for romance, but it could help with that too. Now, the second one is something I think is really important, and it's more of a mindset thing, is being comfortable with whatever outcome happens. Someone who's not very socially confident would think like, "Oh, what if I make a joke and everybody doesn't laugh at me?" Or even worse, they laugh at me rather than at the joke, and like you're all stuck in your head. You really want to be able to have a level of stoicism almost with the world. Whatever happens, happens, but I am going to do whatever I want to do, and I will live with the outcomes, right? I will make the joke. I will go up and talk to the girl. I will do whatever it is, and I'll be okay regardless of it, which way it goes. I think that one was one of the biggest transformational ones for me personally. Again, back to Charlie Hupert, he has this tip where he says, you kind of tell yourself, "I will always be okay." Right? Because at the end of the day, even if I bomb in front of the presentation or the girl laughs at my attempt at asking her out, you still are alive. You're still breathing. You still have family who love you. And it's not the end of the world. It's just maybe not how you would have wanted the situation to go, but you can still recover. You can still live a great, amazing life. So that is a mindset to think about for the future. The third is related, but just different enough that I wanted to give it its own spot. And that is to be comfortable standing out. So a lot of the time, I think we repress our personalities, we repress ourselves because we're in a certain social setting, right? You might not want to make a joke that you think is funny, but you don't know how the other people will think. You might not laugh as loud, right, at a joke because, again, you don't want people to think you're weird. You might not wear the clothes that you like. You mightn't do all these different things just because you have those social pressures. And that is fine, and that is normal and natural. But if you really want to elevate yourself and become more social, become more socially attractive in that way, you want to have a high tolerance for pushing past the opinions of others. And it's just a good idea in life in general to have that tolerance, because it means you aren't ever going to be restricted or limited by what others are thinking. You would be going forward to what you think is best. So in practice, what does that look like? If you hear a joke that you think is really funny, laugh as loud as you want to. If you want to say something or bring up an interest of yours, say it, right? Whatever it might be, don't suppress yourself. Don't hold yourself back from what you actually want to do because of others' thoughts. The fourth is taking initiative. So this is something that I think people just admire in general. If you are the first person in any interaction to broach a new topic, or like get into deeper emotional territory, or be vulnerable, or walk up to talk to somebody, people make notice, and that shows you as, I don't want to make it sound like an alpha or leader thing, but it does put you a rung above the rest. So for example, let's say it's a group of people who are kind of at a hangout, but none of them know each other, so they're just sitting there awkwardly. I'm sure you'll have been in situations like these. The person who is the first to ask somebody, hey, what's your name? You know, how do you know Jared, or whoever the mutual friend is? Everybody takes notice because it allows everybody else to engage in the conversation without feeling scared socially. And I genuinely think people remember that and latch on to that. This is actually the tip that I have heard the most from people when they tell me, wow, that was so interesting, so cool how you just confidently came up to me and talked to me. It was really nice that you were the one getting the joke started. And that is something people really notice. To make this more tactical for you, I would say be okay making the first move. Be okay walking up and talking to somebody. Be okay to be the first one to make a joke or act more casual when you're in a more corporate or formal setting. Be okay to ask somebody how they're doing when it's more of a transactional interaction, like at a cashier or something. Be okay to be the first one to compliment somebody, and all these, endless possibilities of things. But be okay to make the first move and take the interaction to another level, or I should say a deeper level. And the fifth is really subtle, but again, I think people genuinely notice, and that is truly listening to people when they're talking. So I think a lot of us, what we do is we're listening, and because we feel a level of pressure to respond, we're kind of formulating the answer in our own head of what we would say next, right? We're just thinking too far ahead of the conversation. And that's good and fine and natural, right? But what it does is you aren't genuinely listening to the person in front of you. You aren't taking in every bit of information they're sharing with you. And I think people generally tend to feel that. And when you genuinely listen, and when you hear different pieces of interest and you're like, oh no, wait, tell me more about that, or you are able to link your own experiences really expertly into what they're saying and share something and show that you have a similarity with them, people really enjoy that, and that's what leads to really fruitful and amazing conversations. I have a video all about that I'll link up here, or maybe at the end of this video, so you can learn a little bit more about listening techniques that get people to like you more. But that, I think, is genuinely one of the most attractive social traits, because it just makes people feel important around you. It makes people feel seen. So the more you can do that, the better off you'll be. That's all from me today. If you have a question for me, leave it down in the comments, and I'm looking forward to talking about it soon. I'm Isaiah. I hope you have a good day, and above all else, I hope you keep connecting. Take care.